All right. Welcome to Real Life Lounge, episode 15. We are continuing on our homeschool life theme. So, we have this episode today. We're going to talk about testing and gauging progress as a homeschool family. And then tomorrow night on Wednesday, we are going to have a special guest. Maria Stolzberg, the founder of Our Village School, is going to come on, and we're going to interview her, and she's going to share more about her life as a homeschool family so you get another perspective. So, how do you gauge progress as a homeschooler? How do you know if they're like on track? Are they hitting standards?
This is one of those areas as being a homeschool parent and a homeschool family is that when you have to let go of some things. And we have to let go of the programming that we have of always needing to know where we stand, which is, kind of how we're brought up and how we do everything is like to always be measuring ourselves. And so much part of measuring is then comparing that measurement to a norm or a standard or your peers or whatever, so you can know, okay, am I ahead or behind? And one of the things we've had to realize is this whole notion of ahead and behind doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the way the public school system's set up, right? It's like they want you to be in this box of normalcy. And what so many parents realize is that normal is bullshit. Like there's not a standard for what's normal. And so often kids lie outside of normal, and that's when they struggle in school in one way or another. And it's not just being behind. The kids that are on the other end of the spectrum outside of normal also can really struggle in the public school system. So if you're thinking about homeschooling or you currently homeschool, definitely check your state requirements for testing. It's different by state, and we can only speak to Minnesota. You are supposed to do annual testing just so that if home services, what's that called? Social services were to come and say, we question like that you're homeschooling well, you have evidence to show where they're at. But as of now, there's not a reporting requirement for testing in the state of Minnesota, although we've heard that there's some legislation that they're trying to push in order to make it required. If you
to be totally fair to the states, like they want to make sure that no children are being neglected. So if a family declares that they're homeschooling, but leaving their kids home alone all day to fend for themselves and not giving them their, the needs. So I get it. Like the state needs to be responsible enough to make sure that kids are not being neglected. So that part I get. The philosophical, standards of measuring education is where we may have, different viewpoints, but still I understand the need to like make sure kids are on a path and progressing.
And we can circle back to the philosophical stuff, but I just want to give a couple tactile things for those of you that are in Minnesota, or you can check and see if these resources work in your state as well. We often use the CAT test, which is a super old test. It's like from the 1970s. It's kind of a joke, but it helps you check the box. So if you're looking for that low stress way to just fulfill the requirement, the CAT test is great. We have also done MAP testing, MAPP, in Minnesota because they do that a lot in the school systems. It's a little trickier and a little bit more expensive. We have done that in the past through Homeschool Boss. Yes, Homeschool Boss. It's a third party that helps administrate the MAP test. That one's caused a little bit more stress in our family. We did it for a while because we were like, oh, we want to make sure that they're keeping up with the school standards. And I think we're going to go back to the CAT test because we just don't care anymore. And I know you can also get Iowa Basics, but I have not personally looked into that one. Another option, if you're really about unschooling and getting your kids out of all testing, because testing is a tricky subject. There's these programs that are called like bridge schools that you can use as a homeschool family. I know Your Natural Learner has one of them. So you basically are enrolling them in this school. It's like $200 a year. And basically the state says, okay, they're enrolled in school, so therefore you don't need to report testing. And then you'll get some content and curriculum or whatever through those bridge schools. So there is a way to get around testing if that is a sore spot for you.
We're not trying to cheat the system in any way, but there are.
I mean, it's legit. It's on the. It's like it's not like it's Yeah. But we just feel like testing, what we've come to realize, because we were both really great test takers, it was never an issue for us. But having kids that struggle with it, Allie has a hard time, like she gets stressed out, and I don't think it's an accurate assessment of her knowledge with the test. And then Lucy basically gets bored taking tests and rushes and doesn't actually read the questions. And it's also not a good assessment of her knowledge. So we have kids that don't do well with testing. And I just, from the philosophical perspective, I don't feel like it's a great way to assess what our kids know, what they're capable of, what that, like their core, their heart, their, to refer to one of my earlier posts, what their eulogy virtues are like. I mean, I feel like those test scores fit more into that resume virtue. Yes, you might have these great scores, but it does not give you an assessment of how your child is growing and progressing as a person and the character that they're developing.
Yeah, when test scores become identity markers that then become labels and then travel with that child for years to come, it could be a kind of a tightrope to walk. So, our way of assessing how our kids are doing is how are they doing compared to yesterday, right? It's like, if we can just continue to move forward and trust the process and trust that they're on a learning journey that has its ups and downs and windy roads, and not get too caught up in the whole comparison game, but just realize like our goal at the end of the day is to help cultivate good humans, right? Grow good humans. Like that's what we're trying to do. And we have all the confidence in the world that we are doing that, whether they're behind in reading or ahead in math or like struggle with spelling, like we're growing good humans. And we at least take some solace in that, knowing that we're kind of doing the right thing, and that no two kids are alike, even within your own family, no two kids are alike. So
and then two other quick nuggets that I thought of. If you are looking for those kind of interim check marks, a lot of the curriculums do provide assessments. Like we mentioned that we do Beast Academy online for math, and after they go through a unit, there is a test that they have to do. So if there are those ways of gauging that they're making progress. And then, the other thing with testing is, and I think we talked about this last month with the homeschool myths, is that a lot of schools, really post-pandemic, a lot of colleges are getting rid of standardized test scores as a college entry requirement. So SATs and ACTs. So I think the system is catching on that test scores are not always the most accurate assessment of a child's knowledge and capabilities. So just wanted to throw that out there. All right. If you have any ideas or questions for May, we kind of like having these month themes. It doesn't have to be homeschool. We've kind of been on this homeschool kick the last 2 months, but it can be a real life topic. Obviously, we have those 9 topics. Maybe you really want to dive more into like helping your kids manage money, or you want to talk about how you keep your kids busy over the summer, or you're curious on how you get your kids to eat vegetables. We'd love to know what you're curious about right now with growing great humans that are learning through real life. So thanks for joining us for this episode. Oh, Brian needs to do his look, menswear too.
Yeah.
Such a great
little swag.
Yeah. So
Hashtag real life learner.
We will be releasing that soon. So keep an eye out for that. And thank you for following, liking, sharing, as always.
So this has been Real Life Lounge.
What did I say?
Real topics, real talk. No, I'm saying the tagline because so that I get to do it.
Oh, okay.
So I got the whole tagline out.
All right. Way to go. All right. Have a good day.
See you next time.